Technicians, can you please check the microphones? Only mine is working. Is somebody working on the microphone? Where? Oh, okay.
Right Honorable Tunis Sidi Mohamed, Honorable Wase Ahmed Idris, Honorable Sani Malam Shaibu Bukari, Honorable Ibrahima Mimunatu, Honorable Pinto Aja Satu Kamara, Honorable Abdiante Awaji Inobek Dagomi, Honorable Abdulaziz Ayaba Musa, Honorable Adamu Abdu, Honorable Adeimi Smart, Honorable Abdul Johnson Kwaku, Honorable Afeyomarkin Alexander Kwamina, Honorable Agbandao Kuno Nao, Honorable Ayi Samson, Honorable Aka Hervé, Honorable Akwashiki Godia, Honorable Alimikena Francis Asekame, Honorable Ali Pui Senano Koku,
Présent.
Honorable Ameya Chereme Kwasi, Honorable Asin Eme, Honorable Auyo Ibrahim Usman, Honorable Ayamba Ladi Ayi, Honorable Ayariga Mahama, Honorable Bako Nasiru Arifari, Honorable Balarabe Abdullahi Selami, Honorable Balogun Adebayo, Honorable Bangura Mohamed, Honorable Baro Keba K, Honorable Bezra Emmanuel Kwesi, Honorable Boluvi Patrick Kojovi Senam, Honorable Borofis Robert Ajayi, Honorable Bukar Laminu Fogu, Honorable Boacha Emmanuel, Honorable Khalifa Seidi, Honorable Chuba Ikwe Azulinda, Honorable Kulibali Traore Ajaratu, Honorable Darbo Alaji S, Honorable Daoudou Bashir, Honorable Diaz Armando Correa, Honorable Jibo Ali Amadou, Honorable Ego Emmanuel Ogene, Honorable Ezenwa Francis Onyuwechi, Honorable Fanny Mosokura Chantal, Honorable Fernandez Gabriela Alfredo, Honorable Gabasawa Nasiru Abdua, Honorable Bocho Marcel Mone, Honorable Gobir Ibrahim, Honorable Azume Hippolyte, Honorable Idiango Usman, Honorable Issa Murtala, Honorable Issa Salifu, Honorable Issa Mayaki Ramnatu, Honorable Diallo Samba, Honorable Kepe Jonathan Lambert, Honorable Kamba Abdoulaye Umar, Honorable Kolawole Taiwo Msebo, Honorable Koninya Gajomo, Honorable Kumwe Konarene, Honorable Lamina Sa Emerson, Honorable Lopez Manuela Nascimento, Honorable Masakwa Clarence Kortu Momolu, Honorable Medigan Faglasi Damiro Marik, Honorable Michelia Haruna, Honorable Mustafa Olalikan Ramoni, Honorable Ndoye Suleiman, Honorable Ndume Mohamed Ali, Honorable Njai Fatmata, Honorable Odebi Tolope Akinrebi, Honorable Ogba Joseph Obina, Honorable Okijev Emmanuel Yiza, Honorable Olujimi Jordan Christine, Honorable Ono Sandy, Honorable Pereira Diaz Orlando, Honorable Rosa Lopez, Honorable Rosario de Brito Nelson, Honorable Sahabi Alaji Yao, Honorable Saidu Alkali, Honorable Sako Mamadou, Honorable Salam Bamidele, Honorable Saleh Gabriel Zok, Honorable Sal Ibrahima Baba, Honorable Sama Shaka Musa, Honorable Sankara Abdoulaye Danladi, Honorable Santos Tavares Carlos Alberto Dos, Honorable Sar Wurai, Honorable Cisse Veronica Kadi, Honorable Sarion Aja Fata, Honorable Snow Jr. Edwin Melvin, Honorable Suarez da Costa Isa Filomena Pereira, Honorable Soklingbe Senu, Honorable Sila Adama, Honorable Taiwo Oluyemi Adewale, Honorable Tunkara Vileji, Honorable Umeuji Michael, Honorable Vilan Abdullahi, Honorable Yusufu Abdurrahmani Bida Noum, Honorable Zargo Stephen G.H. Mr. Speaker, the list is exhausted.
Thank you very much. Honorable members, by virtue of Article 71, Paragraph 2 of our Rules of Procedure, Parliament always has the requisite numbers to deliberate and settle its agenda. Honorable members, the agenda of the plenary sitting of today, Tuesday, 5th December 2023, is devoted to the presentation of country reports of Liberia, Togo, Sierra Leone, and Ghana. Honorable colleagues, before I give the floor to the national delegations, I would like to remind you of the provisions of Article 1 of our Rules of Procedure, and I quote, "At the beginning of each parliamentary session, each national delegation shall present a country report on the state of the implementation of the community texts and programs, including the human rights situation, the state of the democracy and good governance in their countries. The country reports are debated in plenary in line with the modalities defined by the Bureau." End of quote. Having said that, before I also give the floor to the delegations of Liberia, Togo, Sierra Leone, and Ghana, I wish to inform honorable members that yesterday I received a call from His Excellency President Embalo of Guinea-Bissau informing me that he has dissolved the Parliament of Guinea-Bissau because of security situations in the country. You will recall that recently we heard about some infighting, gun shots were heard in the city. So I believe it's based on that. I do not want to open a debate on it. It's just an information I'm sharing with you. I received the call yesterday from the President informing me that he has dissolved Parliament. The floor is now open for the Liberian delegation to present its country report.
Mr. Speaker, Deputy Speakers, distinguished colleague, I'm on the podium today to report on behalf of the Liberian delegation. The Liberian report is consistent with our rule of engagement, which has to do with the political situation, the security situation, the economic situation, the human rights situation, start of implementation of ECOWAS text, protocol relating to ECOWAS community levied, the protocol on free movement of persons and goods. The Liberian delegation is headed by Edwin Melvin Snow, head of delegation, Jillington Lampi Kape, Clarence Kutu Momolu Masakwe, Haja Fata Sanyo, and your Homo 7 Stephen Jobo Amadou Zago. Each year, it is customary that member states of the ECOWAS Parliament make a country report to the Parliament in this section. Accordingly, this instrument represents Liberia country report. Number one is the political situation. As you all are aware, Liberia just conducted a presidential, legislative, and senatorial election. The incumbent president, President George Weah, lost narrowly to the opposition ambassador Joseph Yeman Boakai. And the unique thing about the Liberian political landscape is that, Mr. President, even before the National Election Commission could announce the final result, flew into his rival, Joseph Yeman Boakai, to acknowledge, make a concession, which is highly commendable. The Liberian elections of 2023 saw 20 political institutions, political parties, 2 female candidates. That was the elections that were held October 10, 2023. Of the 20 political parties, independents, and 2 female candidates, none of them could get the threshold of 50% plus 1. Henceforth, there was a runoff. And that runoff election was held in November 14, which saw the ruling establishment, the Congress for Democratic Change, the CDC, the main opposition party, the Unity Party, of former vice presidential candidate to Ellen Johnson, Senator Joseph Boakai, coming face to face because none of them could get the threshold of 50% plus 1. The election was a tough one. Howbeit, ECOWAS, the United Nations mission, the international partners did their very best. We have about 10,000 national and local observers that manned the pool. The election was relatively free, fair, and transparent. We had enough observers in all of the counties of Liberia. Elections are always contentious, though. In the midst of everything, there was still small altercation in few areas. Lofa County, Bon County, Nimba County, and Moserado County. Specifically in Lofa, there was a contention between the ruling establishment. Yes, I am.
Honorable, yeah, I wanted to ask the same question because I'm not following. Are you reading from the report?
Yes, I am.
Okay, thank you.
Unless you want me to do verbatim, yeah.
What page are we now? What page are we?
I'm on page 3 now. I'm on page 3. Are we there? The government recently conducted the 2023 presidential and legislative elections successfully in a free, fair, and transparent and peaceful manner. There were over 20 political participants in the process, comprising presidential candidates representing 18 political parties and 2 independent candidates. Significantly, 2 women candidates featured in the electoral process. Like election, which ran from October 10, 2023, ended in a runoff between 2 parties, the CDC and the United Party, after neither party could obtain the constitutional threshold of 50% plus 1 vote. The first round of elections saw 10,000 international and local observers. The presidential runoff on November 14 saw a reduced number. ECOWAS election observer mission for the October 10th election was built out of 120 long-term and short-term observers drawn from member states of the sub-region. The second round saw 90 long-term and short-term observers deployed. The runoff was held on November 14, 2023, and the final result announced on Monday, November 20th, 2023. The election body, NEC, declared opposition candidate Joseph Yaman Boyka as the winner, while accumulating the total of 814.481 votes, representing 50.64%. While the ruling establishment candidate President George Manawia obtained a total of 793.914 votes, representing 49.36%. Beacon of democracy in Africa. Many international and local observers praised the government for engendering and enabling democratic space for the conduct of transparent, free, fair, and inclusive and peaceful election. As a result, the U.S. ambassador to the United Nations, Madam Linda Thomas-Greenfield, has categorically described Liberia as a beacon of hope in Africa. Packet of reported violent incidents. The election was mostly characterized as peaceful and non-violent. However, there were some isolated incidents of altercation, clashes, and unfortunate loss of life among rival parties of the main political parties in the general and presidential election. The elections were characterized by fake news and social media and some level of indecent languages as well. Some fast-checking by stakeholders minimized the spread of fake news by distilling factual information. False accusation of bribery by national campaign spokesperson of the United Party. ECOWAS was accused by the opposition United Party national campaign spokesperson of receiving bribe in the tune of about 150,000 United States dollars from the government to declare the election free, fair, and hope that the government will rig the election. ECOWAS issued a statement debunking the baseless and false claim and demanded evidence to support United Party assertions on an unreserved public apology by its national spokesperson. Public retraction and apology of bribery were made by the opposition party. ECOWAS preliminary declaration on presidential runoff. During and after the electoral processes, ECOWAS issued periodic statements, including its preliminary declaration on November 16, 2023, congratulating all stakeholders and Liberians generally on the largely peaceful elections. Although there were isolated incidents, in counties such as Lofa, where I come from, Nimba, Bon, and Maserati, which resulted in injuries and death. Overall, ECOWAS Election Observation Mission noted that the electoral process has exposed the Liberian society as sharply divided, and this required urgent steps to foster social cohesion and inclusivity in governance. ECOWAS subsequently issued a congratulatory message to the people of Liberia for a peaceful electoral process upon the concession of defeat by President George Manneh Weah, again reiterating the crucial importance of national reconciliation as a next step in Liberia democratic dispensation. For a part, the U.S. State Department report on the election call on Liberians to emulate the example of President Weah, who accepted the result of the election and conceded defeat to the opposition United Party candidate, Ambassador Joseph Imambwaka, even though at the time the final results were yet to be announced and the winner officially declared by NEC, the election body. On the same page 6, you see distribution of legislative seats at both houses is self-explanatory. So we'll go to page 7. The 55th legislature will see almost 50% of senators lose their seat while maintaining 2 female senators. On the report, it said 2 female senators, but there was additional female senator, now totaling 3 female senators. One of them is pressed to head the Senate. Likewise, the House of Representatives also saw some surprising losers, including the Speaker of the House of Representatives. In the same vein, some women representatives lost their seat, reducing the number of female representation in Parliament significantly. The amended electoral laws to ensure 30% women quota feeded by political parties failed to pass. Security situation. The security situation remains a challenge both nationally and regionally in the wake of constant threat to internal security and the growing concern of the emergence of Russian influence in the region as well. A successive military takeover in the region have implications for the national security of Liberia, given that Liberia's security since the departure of Omeo has been the sole responsibility of government in the face of challenging global and domestic economic constraints. In spite of this, the Liberian government has made steady progress in meeting the security needs of the state. The government recruited and trained new batch of soldiers and police officers to strengthen pre- and post-electoral security in the event of violence. On the other hand, border security continues to face challenges in the face of the porosity of unmanned vast territory along these borderlines. Despite the passage of the new drug law, the proliferation and usage of drugs by mostly the young population have been on the increase. The drug use amongst the young people become a prominent issue during political campaigning against the government by the opposition figures. Despite this, a few gains were made in the fight against drugs, where a series of arrests and prosecution of individuals who attempted trafficking drugs into the country was made. The drug epidemic is still a national security problem in the country as the government endeavors to address this challenge, particularly among Liberian young demographic. On the other hand, domestic crime rate against persons have reduced drastically, with no news of armed robbery in various communities reported in recent times, which is commendable. Despite the increase in drugs, young people taking drugs, but there's a reduction in violent crime, commendable. Economic situation. The general economic situation. The Millennium Challenge Corporation, MCC score chart The general economic situation in Liberia is well articulated and best described in the recent Millennium Challenge Corporation MCC 2023 scorecard release that shows a marked improvement in fiscal, economic, and financial governance. The score chart also mentioned other areas in which the country made progress, which has implications for improvement in the economic situation of the country. For example, Liberia recorded huge and massive percentage in employment opportunity at 60-70%, 93% in freedom of information, 84% in gender in the economy, 78% in land rights and access, 73% in access to credit, and a whopping inflation control of 76%. Other areas included trade policy, 68%, health expenditure, 62%, rule of law, 59%, and 59% in control of corruption, among others. The scorecard consists of 20 independent indicators that measure a country's policy performance in the area of economic freedom, ruling justly, and investing in people. Liberia is among 25 of 55 countries that have passed the MCC for fiscal 2024. Liberia passed 14 out of 20 indicators representing 70% compared to some of its neighbors. Liberia made progress in the area of corruption with a score of 59% in 2023 as compared to 54% in 2022, which is a benchmark, which is the bedrock to economic governance and expansion. Convergence criteria, the macroeconomic policy. The macroeconomic policy thrusts of the government continue to focus on priority areas such as educational and healthcare programs, agriculture, energy, infrastructure, and tourism projects that are in line with existing national policy. The government developed a new national strategic plan, the Liberian Economic Recovery Plan, LERP 2021-2023, which seeks to address gaps created in the economy as a result of COVID-19 pandemic shocks over the last few years in support of the Pro-Poor Agenda for Prosperity and Development, PAPD. The PAPD is an instrument that outlines and supervises the country macroeconomic policy to expedite compliance with the ECOWAS convergence standard. Hence, on macroeconomic development, in the first half of 2023, the Liberian economic earlier projected growth was revised to 4.6% from the previous projected estimated rate of 4.3% for the year, due mainly to higher than anticipated output from the mining and its subsector, specifically gold production. This level of growth is 0.2% point lower than the 4.8% real GDP growth recorded in 2022. The primary sector, the agriculture and fishery, forestry, and mining and pinning, growth is projected at 2.8% in 2023, down from 5.1% reported in 2022, mainly attributed to positive but declining growth, declining rate of growth in the mining and pinning, forestry and agriculture and fishery subsector. Growth in the secondary sector, manufacturing, is projected at 6.4% from 2.2% estimated in 2022, mainly underpinned by cement and beverages outputs. The tertiary subsector is projected to expand by 6.9% in 2023, up from 4.8% in 2022 on account of activity in services emanating from electricity, financial services, and other services subsector, government fiscal operation, revenue mobilization. The government of Liberia fiscal operation in 2023 was characterized by a worsening revenue mobilization compared to the first half of 2023. Total revenue and grants stood at 326.33 million, which is 7.5% of GDP, compared to 9.8% of GDP in 2022. The 15.5% decline in total receipt was merely due to decline in non-tax revenue by percentage and 6.6% and other tax component respectively. Domestic tax revenue realized at end of June 2023 remains unchanged to USD 253.5 million, which is 5.9% GDP. During the review period, from 253.3% million, which is 6.4% of GDP, reflecting non-performance or slight decline in taxes from international trade, which weighed down on the modest increases of taxes on income and profit, and taxes on goods and services. Non-tax revenue declined by 63.6%, which amount to USD 47.4 million, which is 1.1% of GDP, from 131.5 million, which is 3.3% GDP in the first half of 2021, attributed to decline in other receipts, including fines and benefits. Expenditure and lending. Total expenditure and net lending also recorded a fall of 11.2% to USD 353.60 million, which is 10.1% of GDP in 2023, from USD 398.2 million, which is 10.1% of GDP in 2022, reflecting decrease in growth of recurrent expenditure originating from decline in goods and services and transfer payment by 31.9% during the reporting period. Wages and salary. Wages and salary grew by 12.3% to US 147.0%, which is 3.4% of the GDP, representing 48.8% of tax revenue compared to 129 million, 3.3% GDP, and 50.9% of tax revenue in 2022, due to employment increase in the educational and health sector. Goods and services transfer payment. Use of goods and services and transfer payment fell by 40.0% in 2023 to 147.6 million, which amount to 3.6% of GDP compared to 217 million, which is 5.5% of GDP at end of June 2022. Interest payment and capital expenditure. Interest payment declined to 38.9%, which amount to 26.6 million, compared to 42.9 million. Capital expenditure, though small in magnitude, increased significantly by 39.9% to 31.3 million in the first half of 2023, from 9.4 million in the same period of 2022. Stock of public debt. The Republic of Liberia's stock of public debt recorded a growth of 10.9% of GDP, which amount to 2.124 million, which is 49% of GDP at the end of June 2023, from 44.2% GDP a year ago. External debt accounted for 55.2% of the total debt stock and represented an increase of 6.5% to USD 1.172 million in 2023 from USD 1.09 million in 2021. The domestic debt accounted for 44.8% of the total stock and rose by 16.2% to USD 951.6 million, which percentage is 23% of GDP, as compared to 20.5% in 2022. The debt stock remained below the ECOWAS threshold of 70% of GDP. Monetary policy. The Republic of Liberia monetary policy stance of the Central Bank of Liberia during the period under review of 2023 was primarily concentrated on liquidity management with the aim of smoothing out domestic price volatility through broad exchange rate stability. The Central Bank of Liberia monetary policy stance was targeted merely at the use of the bank policy instrument, including the central bank bill and the required reserve ratio, which is R of the commercial bank. Interest rate. The average interest rate on lending was maintained at 13.4%, personal loan rate at 12.8%, mortgage rate at 13.4%, term deposit rate at 3.5%, saving rate at 3.5%, the ratio on certificate of deposit at 3.3%. The spread between the average lending and saving rate during the period stood at 10.3%. Non-performing loan, which is the NPL, as a share of the total stock of loan and advances in the reporting half, recorded a decline of 6.5% point to 16.1%, which amounted to Liberian dollar 14.34 billion, from 25.6%, but remain above the 10% tolerable limit and remain a major challenge to the banking sector. Gross International Reserve, the GRR. The gross international reserve of Liberia, position at the end of June 2023, reduced by 11.6% to USD 518.9 million, which is about 12% GDP. At end of June 2023, from 587 million, which is 14.7% GDP at the end of June 2023, driven by depreciation of holding and reserves. Similarly, the amount of input cover relative to the ECOWAS macroeconomic convergence benchmark fell slightly by 1.2 months to 3.0 months from 4.2 months reported in the previous half of 2022, merely reflecting a decline in the GRR. And the GRR is the gross international reserve. Average exchange rate. The average exchange rate of the Liberian dollar depreciated against the United States dollar by 11.0% on average, from Liberian dollar 151.84 to US dollar on end of period exchange rate basis, by 17.9% from Liberian dollar 152.85 to $1 on the end of period exchange rate basis. The yearly depreciation of the average exchange rate was mainly triggered by the high demand of foreign exchange on service import convergence criteria. On the status of the macroeconomic convergence, Liberia met 4 out of the 6 macroeconomic convergence criteria, same as in 2022. Liberia met 3, primary convergence criteria, which include criteria on budget deficit, central bank financing, gross external reserve in months of input covered, but missed the benchmark on average inflation. And on the secondary convergence skills, the country certified one criteria, public debt to GDP ratio, but missed out the exchange rate variation due to the depreciation of the Liberian dollar. Macroeconomic prospect. On the startup of the macroeconomic prospect, it was indicated that the medium-term outlook for the economy are predicated on sustaining the performance under the IMF, ECF program in the remaining phase of the program and ensuring a consolidation in fiscal operation. Our GDP growth of 2024 is projected to increase by 5.3%, largely reflecting growth in the agriculture and fisheries subsector. The government commitment to increase investment in agriculture through duty exemption and other social protection program is expected to further improve growth in 2024. Inflation is expected to fall to single digit 7.6% at the end of December 2023. On the macroeconomic convergence front, the country is expected to sustain its achievement on the 3 primary criteria and 1 secondary criteria by end of December 2023. Distinguished colleague, we now go to the human rights situation of Liberia. The country continues to strengthen its democratic credential when it comes to promoting and upholding the individual civil liberty and rights of Liberians and those living in our borders. This important milestone was further manifested in the 2024 MCC scoreboard, in which the report observed conspicuous improvement in Liberia human rights resume. Thus, on the human rights, Liberia can safely report that the government has made considerable, indeed, considerable progress in key areas, among which are right to employment opportunity, right to freedom of information, right to freedom of expression, amongst others. Additionally, the government can boast of 0 political prisoners in detention as it currently stands. Also, interestingly, individuals have had the opportunity to express themselves openly without intimidation and harassment. The proliferation of community radio stations across the country serving a public platform for citizens to voice their disagreement and agreement with the regime without fear of reprisal is a clear indication of the government's commitment to guaranteeing freedom of speech as fundamental human rights of citizens. The state-owned media freedom for 2022 ranked Liberia scaling up from 93 stroke of 180 to 75, a growth that is very, very commendable. Our forecasts do not see a downward trend on the gain made. We see an upward trend. Moreover, the return and reunification of outspoken critics of the government into the country and their participation in the recent political process without fear highlights the government's dedication to upholding and guaranteeing the individual rights, human rights, and a sure way to social cohesion and existence and freedom of liberty in Liberia. Startup of implementation of the ECOWAS tax, the protocol relating to community levy. And distinguished colleague, Mr. Speaker and Deputy Speaker, Liberia, like other members, have struggled over the years to fully comply with the critical provision of the community level protocol when it comes to the implementation of applying the ETL on certain produce such as rice and petroleum products. Additionally, significant progress has not been made to consistently transmit the community levy as collected, and as such, the levy area has accumulated to over $10 million and will continue to accumulate once payment is not made the government has committed to liquidating the area in the shortest possible time. ECOWAS Trade Liberalization Scheme, the ETLS. The ETLS continued during the year under review with some operational challenges relating to understanding the role of the ECOWAS Commission, Custom Directorates, and the various relevant structure in Liberia. To address these operational challenges and develop a working roadmap and establish clear procedure with business community, Liberia Chamber of Commerce, Liberia Business Association, the Approval Committee, the Liberia Revenue Authority, the Ministry of Commerce, and other structure in Liberia, the government of Liberia, through the ECOWAS National Office, has requested the feeding of a technical mission to Liberia by ECOWAS Commission, hopefully in the first quarter of 2024. The protocol on free movement of persons and goods. Enforcing free movement of people and goods, as well as controlling the influx of illicit drugs, trafficking in persons and illegal dealing along the border, are undermining total border security enforcement, as individuals involved are either in drug or human trafficking and are also part of the people moving along these borders in the same need of trade and commercial activity. How do you reconcile that? Additionally, to improve on the protocol on free movement of persons and goods, the ECOWAS community has intensified its effort in the construction of joint border posts between member states. The construction of one of such border posts is situated between Liberia and Sierra Leone at the border town of Bow Waterside in Liberia and Jendimi in Sierra Leone. For Liberia, the 17.5 acres of land has been identified. Government has compensated residents who own those property. A just compensation has been made and benefit for their property. Citizens have since relocated and the property demolished and the land finally surveyed and title deeds turned over to ECOWAS. ECOWAS assistance. ECOWAS electoral assistance. ECOWAS provided fundings and technical assistance to the National Election Commission, that is the election body in Liberia. Technical assistance included the provision of biometric voter roll auditors with support from UNDP. Funding support for $500,000 United States cover the following. One, the provision of independent IT expert on cybersecurity and system analysis to enhance the transparency of the result management process of the election. Two, training of monitoring and evaluation officer. Three, capacity building for women voter. Four, civil and voter education. Five, four, land crucial for rough terrain to facilitate deployment of elections material and staff. Six, RT equipment. ECOWAS flow assistance. ECOWAS provided funds in the amount of $440,446 as post-disaster humanitarian assistance for 9,680 persons affected by flood, comprising approximately 1,841 affected households. Among the key activity of the project, affected persons who received cash payment, the project cooperation and funding agreement has been signed, and 60% of the project amount has been transferred to the Liberian Red Cross Society as an implementing partner. ECOWAS food assistance. The government of Liberia, acting through its Ministry of Agriculture, and ECOWAS have executed a project cooperation and funding agreement under Chapter 7 of the ECOWAS Protocol on the mechanism relating to conflict prevention, management, peacekeeping, security, to strengthen resilience of most vulnerable citizens through food affected population. The targeted demographic profile is 2,000 children under the age of 5 years affected by malnutrition. The project implementation will start 30 days from the date of the execution of this agreement, and that date have been executed. It have been November 17, 2023. The implementing panel is Part 2, left. Festula Grant Agreement for 2023. The ECOWAS Commission has signed the Festula Grant Agreement for 2023. Wahoo donation. The West African Health Organization donated a 4x4 Toyota Prido to the office of the focal person at the Liberian Ministry of Health to facilitate Wahoo-related projects in Liberia. Physical Security and Stockpile Management, PSSM, regional training. Liberia hosted the regional PSSM training under the auspices of the Armed Commission of Liberia. The ECOWAS PSSM is in partnership with the German Federal Foreign Office, the Bomb International Center for Conflict Studies, the Multinational Small Arms and Ammunition Group, 2 regional training programs for physical security and stockpile management was conducted for security officers representing ECOWAS member states. The main objective was for the prevention of terrorism and intercommunity violence. West Africa Police Information System, WAPIS Center established. ECOWAS, in collaboration with Interpol and funding support from the European Union, has successfully collaborated with the government of Liberia to establish the WAPIS Data Center at the headquarters of the Liberian National Police. The center has set up requisite IT and office equipment operated by trained Liberians in the security sector. Other security agencies, including the Liberian Immigration Service and the Liberian Drug Enforcement Services, are also utilizing those facilities. Security sector reform and governance. On the ECOWAS Policy Framework for Security Sector Reform and Governance, SSRG, ECOWAS provided training for civil society organizations in promoting accountability, professionalism, and effective oversight of our security sector institutions. ECOWAS Headquarter Agreement. The government of Liberia and ECOWAS have formally signed an agreement on the establishment and functioning of the permanent representation of ECOWAS as a diplomatic mission in Liberia. That is commendable. The agreement set out the obligation of both parties and laid down the modality for the smooth functioning of the payment of the permanent representative in Liberia. Conclusion. Mr. Speaker, distinguished colleague, permit me to conclude. Liberia continues to make remarkable progress on the aforementioned thematic area. Liberia political situation is vibrant, witnessing a deepening of a democratic dispensation. A free, fair, transparent, and general election was successfully held and described as credible and a beacon of hope. On the economic front, Liberia just scored bigly, as evident by the MCC scorecard and the report on its progress over the convergence criteria. Similarly, the country advanced its human rights credential by the improvement in political and human rights and civil liberty. Mr. Speaker, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, obrigado, merci beaucoup, thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Honorable, for your presentation. The next presentation is Ghana. No, sorry, Togo. Honorable members, I've just been looking at the reports. The Liberian report that you just listened to is just 13 pages, 13 pages. Ghana report, 35 pages. 35 pages. Honorable member, while you are waiting to present for Ghana, can you please look at that report again and how you can summarize it? Togo, please take the stand. 35 pages, we cannot wait for 35 pages. It's too long. Honorable members will be sleeping. Just summarize it for us, please.
Monsieur le Président du Parlement de la CEDEAO,
the Speaker of the ECOWAS Parliament, honorable members, dear colleagues, ladies and gentlemen, on the occasion of this 2023 second ordinary session, the Togolese delegation has the honor to present its country report which captures all the events that have shaped the political, economic, social, and security life of our country since last May to date. Our delegation is composed of the following persons as listed. And my humble self. Our country report is based on the outline set by the Parliament, namely political situation, security situation, the human rights situation, 4, health situation, 5, status of implementation of ECOWAS texts, in particular, the protocol on community levy, the protocol on free movement of persons and goods, and the supplementary act on the equality of rights between men and women for sustainable development in the ECOWAS region. Political situation. On the political front, Togo is continuing its democratic march within a framework of inclusive and permanent dialogue aimed at preserving peace, social cohesion, and harmony. The political situation in our country has remained calm, stable, and peaceful from the beginning of 2023 till date. Political actors have continued to carry out their activities within the permanent consultative framework adopted since January 2022, with a view to improving the organization of legislative and regional elections. The electoral registration, which began on the 29th April 2023, ended on the 14th June. After the update of the electoral register by the Independent National Electoral Commission, an external assessment was carried out by the International Organization of the Francophonie from 20th to 27 November 2023. In a press conference dated 20 November, the CENI made public the result of this assessment. It is worthy to note that the entire political class, civil society, and the population as a whole are fully committed to the electoral process, thanks to the openness, attentiveness, and the commitment to dialogue as shown by the President of the Republic, His Excellency Mr. Fo Esozima Nyasimba. Security situation. The global security atmosphere remains unstable, volatile, and unpredictable. The subregional security situation is characterized by new challenges: the emergence and expansion of terrorism in the Sahel countries, and the determination of armed groups to expand their areas of activity towards the countries of Gulf of Guinea remains a major concern. In addition to this, national and transnational organized crime continues to evolve in a variety of ways. Terrorism and violent extremism are now a major threat to all West African countries, particularly because of the situation in the Sahel. Terrorists today have demonstrated their ability to strike indiscriminately in any country when least expected. Togo has recorded several attacks by armed terrorist groups in its northern part, resulting in loss of lives and damages. Insecurity in the 3 border areas of Benin, Burkina Faso, Togo, and on Togo's northern border has led to unrestricted movement of people, that is internal displacement of populations, and a displacement and hosting of refugees. In addition, apart from terrorism and violent extremism, there are other forms of insecurity, including organized crime, medium and petty crimes, such as trafficking in drugs, small arms, and light weapons, fake medicines, petroleum products, maritime piracy, and cybercrime and related offenses. In addition to military measures, Togo has put in place a flexible mechanism to prevent violent extremism. Through the establishment of the Interministerial Committee for the Prevention and Fight Against Violent Extremism, and has initiated an emergency program for the Savannah region bordering Burkina Faso to boost the resilience of the people. Some of the measures taken are designed to fight terrorism and violent extremism, while others are aimed at combating crimes in general. These measures are sufficiently detailed in our previous reports, and Togo continues to strengthen these measures in order to guarantee security for all our citizens. Similarly, government also puts in place mechanisms for civil protection. These include, among others, the National Civil Protection Agency, which works with partners to provide humanitarian assistance to internally displaced persons and refugees in Burkina Faso as a result of the crisis in the Sahel. This involves distribution of food and non-food kits, cash transfers, etc. Finally, it should be noted that all the government programs and measures, whether operational, preventive, or political concerning security, are continuously revamped and implemented by the relevant ministries. Nevertheless, the country is worried at the spate of terrorism and violent extremism in the Sahel, which is spreading to coastal countries and is working to effectively prevent and contain any terrorist activity. In addition, Togo hosted the first edition of the International Forum on Peace and Security from 20th to 22nd October 2023. This event, which promotes Togo's diplomacy, focused on the theme how to improve political transition towards democratic governance in Africa. The summit was also designed as an African forum for exchanging and sharing views on peace, security, and the future of the continent. In addition, Togo has established peace within the sub-region. The human rights situation in Togo. Our country continues to make effort to guarantee human rights. Human rights are sacred, guaranteed, and protected under the provisions of our fundamental laws and all regional and international legal instruments to which Togo is a party. All the relevant texts have been ratified by the National Assembly, and the powers of the National Human Rights Commission, which has an A status with Paris and ECOWAS, have been enhanced. In terms of fundamental freedoms, our country has been fulfilling its national and international obligations. The country is working daily to strengthen all national human rights institutions. To this end, the process of appointing members of the National Human Rights Commission and the High Authority for Audiovisual and Communication is underway in our country. In addition to the CNDH's primary role of protecting, preventing, and guaranteeing the enforcement of and redress for human rights, the state constantly monitors the protection and guaranteeing of political and socio-economic rights, the right to life, the safety of people in places of detention, especially against new forms of human trafficking, and the ongoing implementation of measures to ensure gender equality. Moreover, as we earlier mentioned, Togo periodically submits its report to the Human Rights Council and treaty bodies. following its recent national report to the United Nations Human Rights Council during the third cycle of the Universal Periodic Review, the government of Togo was commended for the progress made in implementing the recommendations made in their previous reports. Meanwhile, a committee made up of experts from the United Nations, the Ministry in charge of Human Rights, the National Assembly's Human Rights Commission, and the bodies responsible for human rights have started the process of drafting the country's action plan for effective, efficient, and inclusive implementation of new recommendations made to our country. We salute the government of Togo for all the reforms it has carried out and those that it is in the process of implementing, and for all the measures it has taken to ensure the prevention, protection, and the guarantee of human rights in our country. In the area of governance, Togo remains determined to improve the economic and social governance framework through the consolidation of the reforms it introduced. These reforms have led to the digitization of basic services and the administration as a whole. The 2020-2025 government roadmap remains the backbone and trajectory of government activities, and this was uploaded by the president of the World Bank.
Leadership.
Health situation in Togo. The government of Togo, under the leadership of the President of the Republic, is firmly committed to improving the living environment and health of the population by modernizing health facilities and through various programs and actions. The situation of the COVID-19 pandemic. While the pandemic situation is no longer a major concern to other countries in the sub-region, our country remains cautious about a possible return of the virus and continues to provide weekly and bi-weekly updates on the epidemiological situation. As at 30 October to 5 November 2023, the situation was as follows. Number of confirmed cases, 39,533. Number of cases cured, 39,238. Number of deaths, 290. Number of active cases, 5. Number of tests carried out, 814,229. The figures have changed from that date. Modernization of healthcare facilities. A perfect example of the modernization of healthcare facilities was the commissioning of the Dr. Lafayette Reference Hospital on 26 April by the President of the Republic. This hospital is a major healthcare center with a level 4 technical facility dedicated to rendering excellent healthcare services and capable of handling most of the healthcare problems of patients. The building was designed and equipped to provide professionals with a high-quality working environment in line with international practices and standards, and also providing patients with a clean, conducive environment, just like the best places in the West. This facility is in addition to the International Cancer Center, which is a cutting-edge technology and the third of its kind in Africa, and an outcome of a public-private partnership to serve the people of Togo and the whole of Africa. Also, major contractualization projects for certain CHU and CHR are going on satisfactorily with appreciable results. It has enabled our country to increase and strengthen the capacities of some CHUs and CHRs to provide improved care services for the populations, other health programs and policies. The health of Togolese people remains a top priority and a major concern to the government. Several programs and policies have been included in the government roadmap. They cover maternal, infant and child health, adolescent and youth health, family planning and health insurance through mechanisms for the protection, prevention, control, detection, and fight against contagious, communicable, and non-communicable diseases. In implementing these programs and policies, and in order to achieve its objectives, which has as priority health for all, the government developed mechanisms to ensure equity in access to health services, both geographically and financially. All the measures put in place by the head of state are designed to ensure public order, on which national peace depends, to curb death rate, and to improve the health and quality of life of every citizen. State of implementation of the ECOWAS community text. The protocol on community levy. Togo is continuing its efforts to recover the community levy with a view to improving its performance and standing in the management of this main source of funding for the community. The community levy for Togo is as follows. The total amount of remittances amounts to 4.07 billion francs CFA for the year 2020, 4.97 billion francs CFA for the year 2021, 5.98 billion francs CFA for the year 2022, and 5.37 billion CFA francs from the months of January to the end of September 2023. In all, Togo has achieved an average annual recovery rate of 97% for the community levy over the last 3 years. Cumulatively, over the period from July 2003, date of entry into force of the community levy, to the end of September 2023, there is an outstanding balance of 121.95 million francs CFA left to be paid. The efforts made by the Togo Revenue Office in the recovery of the community levy are to be commended, and our country deserves congratulations. There is an annex to this table to this document. Protocol on free movement of persons and goods. Protocol A, P1/1/03 of 31 January 2003, defining the concept of originating products in ECOWAS member states, revised in 2018, led to the adoption of Supplementary Act A/SA of 7 December 2018, laying down the community rules of origin and procedures applicable to goods originating in ECOWAS, as well as the regulation C/Reg 18/12/21 of 10 December 2021 relating to the digitalization of the components of ex-factory price and the value of non-originating materials. These various acts regulate inter-community trade and lay down the criteria for the origin of products benefiting from free movement within the community. As part of the application of the above-mentioned protocol, Togo has set up an approval committee made up of a representative of the Ministry of Industry, a representative of the ECOWAS YMO unit, a representative from the Customs and Excise Department. With regard to the Supplementary Act and the regulations, a regional workshop on the digitalization of the list of exceptions organized by the ECOWAS Commission was held in Leone this year. Concerning the application of the protocol, an interministerial order was issued on 16 September 2023 for the establishment, functions, composition, and operation of the National Committee for approval of applications under the YMO and ECOWAS liberalization scheme. It complements the interministerial order for the establishment, organization, and operation of the National Committee for the management of the ECOWAS Common External Tariff. It should also be noted that during this year, 7 approvals were issued and 3,079 certificates of origin signed. Finally, with regard to the free movement of persons and goods, the regulatory measures taken to eliminate administrative hassle at borders continue to be strengthened and consolidated in order to preserve the success already achieved. The Supplementary Act on the Equality of Rights between men and women for sustainable development in the ECOWAS region. Togo, as an ECOWAS member country, remains committed to fulfilling its commitment at community level. This is as provided for in the Supplementary Act on Equality of Rights between men and women for sustainable development in the ECOWAS region, which mandates all ECOWAS member states to promote gender equity and equality in all sectors through the formulation and review of appropriate policies and legislation, as well as strategic alignment. The government's policy on gender and women empowerment is clearly defined and incorporated into strategic documents such as the National Development Plan, the 2020-2025 Government Roadmap, and the National Policy for Equality and Gender Equality, for Equity and Gender Equality. This includes enhancing the legal status of women, institutional framework, gender equality and empowerment of women, health programs for women, gender-sensitive budgeting, and all the mechanisms for protecting women and girls against violence in all its forms. All of these elements were discussed in our previous country report. We do not need to elaborate any further. Our country's efforts to promote equality of rights between men and women, women empowerment and gender equality have been commended by the regional, sub-regional and international community. Inclusion of persons with disability. The government's efforts to promote and protect the rights of persons with disabilities continue through the ongoing process of revising law number 2004-005 of 23 April 2004 relating to the social protection of persons with disabilities in Togo. The government of Togo remains determined and concerned about the issue of people living with disabilities and prioritizes the issue of inclusion in all of its actions. In consideration of the inclusion of people with disabilities in all its forms, our country has incorporated and continues to incorporate the issue into its development policies, strategies, and programs, notably through the National Development Plan, Part 3 of which relates to the consolidation of social development and the reinforcement of inclusion mechanisms and the government's 2020-2025 roadmap. In conclusion, regional integration and free movement of people and goods are priorities of our community. Heads of state, governments, and elected representatives must each do their part to ensure that this objective is achieved. Togo remains committed to these values and will spare no effort in achieving an ECOWAS of the peoples, an ECOWAS that is economically strong and fully integrated. I do thank you for your kind attention. Thank you. Obrigado.
Merci beaucoup, Honorable.
Thank you very much, Honorable Abadao. Sierra Leone, please.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, honorable members, I'm here to give the report, the country's report for the 2023 second ordinary session of the ECOWAS Parliament. And amongst the delegation, we have Honorable Veronica Sise, my very self, the head of delegation, our able speaker, Honorable Sidi Mohamed Tunis, Honorable Musa Shaka Sama, Honorable Sia Emerson Lamina, and Honorable Mohamed Bangura. Mr. Speaker, honorable members, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, with humility, candor, and delight, I bring you fraternal greetings from the government and the people of the Republic of Sierra Leone. On behalf of Sierra Leone delegation, I'm thanking the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, His Excellency Bola Ahmad Tinubu, and the people of this great and beautiful republic for the warm hospitality accorded to us since the arrival of our delegation. It is with this pleasure and deep sense of appreciation that I wish, with your permission, Mr. Speaker, to present Sierra Leone's country report. Mr. Speaker, this report highlights the achievement the country and the people have made so far since the last report presented to this honorable assembly. This report attempts to elucidate the challenges we face as a nation while focused on accomplishing our obligations and challenges to the people of Sierra Leone and the ECOWAS Parliament. The report will speak to the following thematic areas: the political situation, the security situation, the health situation, the human rights situation, the economic and social situation, the environment situation, and the status of implementation of the community texts and protocols. Political situation. Mr. Speaker, honorable members, Sierra Leone held its presidential, parliamentary, and local council elections on the 24th of June, 2023. The Sierra Leone People's Party, led by His Excellency the President, Brigadier Dr. Julius Maada Bio, won the elections with more seats in both parliament and the local councils against the main opposition All People's Congress, the APC party, and other registered political parties. On the polling day, the turnout was very impressive and peaceful. Reports show that the elections were held within the ambit of Sierra Leone's electoral laws and procedures. The election was conducted based on the proportional representation, the PR, using the district block system, wherein voters basically voted for political parties and not for individual candidates. Independent candidates were also allowed to contest. For the first time in our history, Sierra Leone has the largest number of female representation in parliament, totaling 41 out of 135 members of parliament, representing 32%. I don't think that is enough for Sierra Leone. Compared to the previous parliament, which had 15% female MPs, this drastic increment of female representatives in parliament can be credited to the amendment made to the Public Elections Act of 2022, Section 58(2), which provides that for every 3 candidates, please take note, for every 3 candidates nominated by a political party under the Section 1, at least one of them shall be a female. Mr. Speaker, honorable members, the main opposition party, the All People's Congress, refused to accept the election's result, claiming that the result announced by the Chief Electoral Commissioner was a misrepresentation of the will of the people, and therefore demanded a rerun and the immediate resignation of the Chief Electoral Commissioner, emphasizing that transparency and fairness were compromised, an allegation that was denied by the Electoral Commission for Sierra Leone. This position for the main opposition party sparked an uneasy tension in the country. Most international observers declared the elections free and fair. The All People's Congress, as a way of expressing their dissatisfaction with the election results, resorted to a peaceful protest and ordered their elected members of parliament, mayors and chairpersons and councillors of the city and the district council to withhold their services participation in state governance. Notwithstanding, 2 MPs of the main opposition party subscribed to the oath of office, citing constitutional provisions that put the national interest before partisan interests. Mr. Speaker, honorable members, the government of Sierra Leone and the All People's Congress Party had a 3-day dialogue facilitated by ECOWAS, the African Union, the Commonwealth, and the Independent Commission for Peace and National Cohesion from the 17th to the 19th October 2023. Amongst the several resolutions reached, the parties agreed that His Excellency the President makes a national address on dialogue, unity, cohesion, and peace, and that His Excellency did. That the All People's Congress Party ends its non-partisan in governance. That a cross-party committee on electoral system and management bodies be established and should consist of a 3-way leadership, including government, the All People's Congress Party, and the development partners. That government considers the release of persons arrested, detained, and or imprisoned for illegal election and civil protests. That a list of detained persons be submitted by the APC and other parties. This subsequently has culminated to the assumption of all elected members of the APC party to their respective elective roles in governance. That is, all elected APC members of parliament, mayors, chairpersons, and councillors have now subscribed to the oaths of office and are effectively partaking fully in their various elective capacities. Mr. Speaker, honorable members, the security situation. This particular paragraph, I'm presenting it with a heavy heart. At a time when government is trying to develop, then some people want to bring the government down. In the early hours of Sunday, the 26th of November 2023, a group of unidentified armed elements attacked the main military barracks in Freetown, close to the Presidential Lodge, and reportedly ransacked the armory and resorted to indiscriminate shooting across the city, thereby obstructing the peace and tranquility of our ordinary compatriots, which culminated to a break of the maximum prison to free inmates, including hardcore criminals. It is now very clear that it was an attempted failed coup d'etat. But what is glaring so far is that the government of Sierra Leone, headed by His Excellency, the President, Dr. Julius Maada Bio, is in full control of the state and the situation. Mr. Speaker, honorable members, Sierra Leone continues to make significant progress in its democratic and security governance, as well as building robust safeguards geared towards protecting efforts aimed at enhancing national cohesion and unity, growth, development, and national security. In 2023 Global Peace Index, Sierra Leone scored 1.7 as the most peaceful country in West Africa, second in Africa, and 47th position in the world. Mr. Speaker, honorable members, through porous and illegal crossing points along the borders, there is a large-scale smuggling of essential commodities. Apart from the shortage that results from smuggling the scarce essential commodities from the country, the practice undermines local revenue generation drive. In addition to acts of intimidation and harassment of border communities and commuters, Guinea Armed Forces personnel continue to commit frequent and widespread encroachments and annexation of Sierra Leone's territory. After erecting a beacon at Yenga in Kailaon District, Eastern Sierra Leone in February 2023, they have commenced construction of a military barracks on the disputed land since May 2023, thereby reinforcing their claim of ownership of that stretch of land of the territory. of Sierra Leone. They are uncontrollable, raising their military profile in Yenga and other places along the border, creating tension, fear, and insecurity in those communities. They further raise their military profile in Yenga and other places along the border, creating tension, fear, and insecurity in those communities. Mr. Speaker, honorable members, there is a growing problem of transnational organized crime, ranging from human trafficking, illegal migration, illegal logging, illegal fishing, illicit mining, and cultivation and trafficking of marijuana, narcotics, and restricted medical drugs. Other organized crimes threats includes smuggling of essential commodities, piracy, and robbery at sea, armed robbery, mobile money fraud, data mining, and CIMBOX fraud, etc. Sierra Leone continues to face the challenge of the proliferation of small arms and light weapons that are either locally manufactured or smuggled into the country, mainly through porous border crossing points. Also, there have been interceptions of conventional weapons in the possession of unauthorized persons. Mr. Speaker, honorable members, meanwhile, the government of Sierra Leone continues to push forward diplomatic options aimed at amicably resolving Guinean administration and encroachment on Sierra Leone's territory. The health situation in Sierra Leone. Mr. Speaker, honorable members, the government of Sierra Leone continuously taking steps to improve primary health care in the country in ways such as working to reduce maternal and infant mortality, improving adolescent health care, health infrastructure, and governance and welfare of the health workforce. It is evident that mental health issues are becoming a serious problem in Sierra Leone. The country has had its fair share of very serious crises from the 11 years civil war, 1991 to 2002, to the West African Ebola outbreak, 2014 to 2016, and from the mudslide August 14 in 2017 to the COVID-19 pandemic in 2020. These have contributed to trauma and the growing of mental health issues in the country. However, with the prompt intervention of the Ministry of Health and Sanitation, there is a great improvement in the cause of reversing that trend. Awareness on the issues at the community level has been intensified. Services have been scaled up, and the only psychiatric home at Kisi in Freetown has been rehabilitated with improved facilities and better service delivery. The Ministry of Health and Sanitation, in collaboration with its partners, Smart Systems Sierra Leone Limited, officially launched the pilot of an electronic medical records system at Connaught Hospital in Freetown. The EMR system is a standard digital health records management tool used globally to enhance reliable and up-to-date patients' information, which helps clinicians provide effective efficiency and save lives. It is hoped that the system will digitize various areas of clinical services, benefiting both general outpatients and specialist outpatient areas. This will help streamline processes, enhance efficiency, and improve overall patient care. Mr. Speaker, honorable members, the human rights situation in Sierra Leone. The protection and promotion of the human rights in Sierra Leone has continued to improve, though with some challenges. Section 15 and 16 of the Constitution of Sierra Leone, 1991, protects the right to life. Section 16.1 in particular provides as follows: no person shall be deprived of his life intentionally except in execution of the sentence of a court, irrespective of a criminal offense under the laws of Sierra Leone, of which he has been convicted. Article 6.1 of the International Convention on Civil and Political Rights, 1996, and Article 4 of the African Charter on Human and People's Rights, 1981, have a similar provision. After Article 6 states that every human being has the inherent right to life. The right shall be protected by law. No one shall be arbitrarily deprived of his life. Hence, the Human Rights Commission of Sierra Leone, as the statutory body charged with the mandate to protect, promote human rights of all in the country. Mr. Speaker, honorable members, as a deduction to its function to raise awareness on human rights, the Human Rights Commission of Sierra Leone on Wednesday, 11th October, joins the world in commemorating the International Day of the Girl Child with the theme, Our Time is Now, Our Rights and Future. The Commission had dedicated that day to raise more awareness on the rights and empowerment of girls. The Commission seized the moment to address several challenges faced by girls, such as gender discrimination, inequality, deprivation of basic human rights, and many more. The economic and social situation. Mr. Speaker, honorable members, Sierra Leone continues to grapple with economic difficulties engendered by the effects of the Russia-Ukraine war, instability in global commodity prices, high inflation, depreciation of the currency, the Leone seeming low capacity to attract foreign direct investment, among others. The President, Dr. Julius Maada Bio, has made economic growth a top priority of the administration. He has implemented several policies aimed at attracting investment, improving the business environment, and developing the country's human capital. Some of the key initiatives that our President has implemented to shape and promote economic growth of the nation includes 5 main areas. 1, Feed Salon, initiative of the President. This will address food insecurity, thereby boosting agricultural productivity and foster inclusive economic growth. 2, developing human capital. The government of Sierra Leone has made a significant investment in education and healthcare with a deliberate focus on the gender equality. This is aimed at developing a middle-level workforce that has been nurtured with skill appropriate for 21st century. This will transform and empower the workforce for a transformative future for building a skilled workforce to ultimately improve the overall productivity of the economy. 3, the Youth Empowerment Scheme. This scheme will loosen a focused initiative to create job opportunities, provide our young talents with a platform to flourish, and contribute to the progress of our nation. 4, Technology and Infrastructure Initiative. This is a digital transformation strategy to promote the use of technology in the economy. It will help harness the power of innovation and robust propelling of the country to middle income status. 5, revamping the public sector architecture. This will usher in a new era of service delivery to make it more efficient and professional to enhance efficacy of our public sector institution. Overall, President Bio's economic policy have been well received by businesses and investors. The government's commitment to creating a more conducive environment for businesses and developing the country's human capital is essential for sustainable economic growth in Sierra Leone in the years to come. Mr. Speaker, honorable members, the environmental situation in Sierra Leone. Environment degradation caused mainly by indiscriminate human activities such as deforestation, pollution, and unregulated mining remains a major challenge in Sierra Leone. Currently, the country has lost 35.9 hectares of humid primary forest, making up 1.9% of total tree cover loss. As such, the environmental ecosystem continues to decline, thereby contributing to the reduction of the Earth's natural ability to capture, recycle, responsible for environmental instabilities like climate change. Mr. Speaker, honorable members, the implementation of community texts and protocols. The protocol relating to community levy. Sierra Leone has formed an ECOWAS Community Levy Coordinating Committee, which is an interinstitutional coordinating mechanism that is responsible to ensure effective collaboration among the various stakeholders involved in the implementation of the community levy. The ECLCC is comprised of members of the following institutions: the Ministry of Planning and Economic Development, the Ministry of Finance, the National Revenue Authority, and the Bank of Sierra Leone. The government of Sierra Leone has, as at the 11th of October 2023, has materialized payment for her community levy to the tune of 7,387,815 new leones, equivalent to $332,036.67 to the ECOWAS Commission. The ECOWAS Commission Community Levy Assessment Mission visited Sierra Leone from the 15th to the 19th May 2023 to assess, evaluate the level of compliance with tenets of the community levy protocol implementation by the Republic of Sierra Leone. The mission is pleased with Sierra Leone compliance of the community levy protocol implementation. The Sierra Leone ECOWAS Community Levy Coordinating Committee is stringently complying to the following. A, the Bank of Sierra Leone sends regular electronic monthly community levy bank statement in a secured PDF and Excel format to ECOWAS. B, the National Revenue Authority, Customs, send regular electronics monthly community levy assessment and collection statement in secured PDF and Excel formats to ECOWAS. C, the ECOWAS National Office and Customs conduct monthly reconciliation exercise of assessment, collection, and deposits made into the community levy account at the Bank of Sierra Leone. D, the National Revenue Authority Customs always ensure prompt transfer to levies collected by commercial banks into ECOWAS community levy account at the Bank of Sierra Leone in accordance with the tenets of the protocol. The amounts currently held in Bank of Sierra Leone as of the 11th October 2023 and requested to be externalized is 7,387,815.81 new leones. Kindly, I repeat this, kindly be informed that Sierra Leone has no arrears of ECOWAS community levy and with 100% compliance with the tenets of protocol. ECOWAS projects and programs in Sierra Leone. Mr. Speaker, honorable members, the construction of ECOWAS logistics depot at Lunge is 80% completed. The ECOWAS joint border post between Sierra Leone and the Republic of Liberia is still in progress. The ECOWAS community levy protocol implementation is also in progress. The ECOWAS EU supports to improve maritime security in progress. The ECOWAS Namdi Azikiwe Academy Mobility Scheme in progress. ECOWAS supports to human capital development in progress. The ECOWAS Volunteer Program in progress. ECOWAS supports to scholarship for excellent girls and fistula program in progress. District desensitization in ECOWAS feasibility in progress. The green enterprise between the Republic of Sierra Leone and the Republic of Liberia also in progress. The signing of ECOWAS-funded Kono University of Science and Technology between the government of Sierra Leone and Indian consultant has been completed. Mr. Speaker, honorable members, status of convergence. The country's position on the primary convergence criteria was not good, as the country satisfied one of the 4 primary criteria during the review period, namely gross reserves as months of import cover. Status of primary convergence criteria. The criteria are on a single-digit average annual inflation rates met. Average inflation for the first half of 2023 was 42.7% compared to 32.0% for July-December 2022 period. The year-on-year headline inflation increased to 44.81% in June. Table as stated below. The status of secondary convergence criteria. The country meets both secondary criteria, namely the nominal exchange rates variation criteria and the public debt-to-debt GDP ratio criterion. Table as stated below. Status of the ratification of ECOWAS protocols and conventions. Mr. Speaker, honorable members, out of a total of 54 protocols, Sierra Leone has ratified 42 protocols. There are 12 protocols that are yet to be ratified. In as much as the implementing MDAs face challenges, these MDAs remain committed in the ratification process. The Supplementary Act on the Equality of Rights between Women and Men for Sustainable Development in the ECOWAS region. Mr. Speaker, honorable members, as it was stated in our last report that the landmark Gender Equality and Women's Empowerment, the GEWI Act, that promotes women's participation in politics and decision-making processes by providing for at least 30% representation of women in elective and appointed positions in all facets of our national life, governance and development. From the just concluded June 24th elections, on the 24th, 2023 general elections, it was recorded that 15% rise in women's representation, with 30.4% of directly elected representatives in the 6th Parliament. We must commend His Excellency, the President, for the political will that was shown to us. The analysis of the members of the 6th Parliament, directly elected male members of Parliament, are 94. Directly elected female members of Parliament are 41, totaling 135. Conclusion, Mr. Speaker. On behalf of the government and the people of Sierra Leone, the Sierra Leone delegation wishes to reiterate our country's commitment to regional integration and working towards a better and brighter future for our ECOWAS citizens. We extend our thanks and gratitude to the government and the people of the Republic of Nigeria. And to the staff, I doff my hat to you people of the ECOWAS Parliament for hosting this session. We want to reassure this dignified body of our continued support and collaboration to ensure that the ECOWAS achieves its goal and objectives. Thank you very much. Merci beaucoup. Obrigado.
Thank you very much, Honorable Veronica Sise, for that brilliant presentation. Finally, I now give the floor to the delegation from Ghana to present their country report. Please make it sharp, 35 pages is too long.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, as directed by your good self and accepted by everyone here, because we have a 35-page presentation, I have looked at our report carefully, and I have observed that the most detailed is from page 1 to 9. The other pages have a lot of graphs, tables, and other reference points. Mr. Speaker, in consonance with the practice of presenting country reports to plenary during the ordinary sessions, permit me, on behalf of Ghana's delegation, to present our country's report highlighting the underlisted thematic areas: political and security situation, human rights situation, healthcare situation, status of implementation of community texts, namely the protocol relating to the community levy, the protocol on free movement of persons and goods, the supplementary act on equality of rights between women and men for sustainable development in the ECOWAS region, and economic situation. Mr. Speaker, the delegation is made up of Honorable Alexander Kwamena Afenyo-Markin, who is the leader, Honorable Kwasi Ameya Otreme, Honorable Samson Ahi, Honorable Mama Ayarga, Honorable Emmanuel Kwasi Bajra, Honorable Ladi Ayayamba, my good self, Honorable Johnson Kwekwedu, and Honorable Abdul Aziz Ayaba. Mr. Speaker, I continue with the political and security situation in Ghana. Ghana continues to enjoy relative peace despite certain factors which threatened the stability of the country. The factors include land and chieftaincy disputes, threats of terrorism and violent extremism, and socio-economic issues with attendant security implications. The state security agencies, in collaboration with other relevant stakeholders, continue to institute measures to mitigate the threats, thus culminating in safeguarding the peace and security of the country. Chieftaincy disputes and ethnic conflicts. In the May 2023 report to ECOWAS Parliament, Ghana highlighted some chieftaincy conflicts in parts of the northern and coastal regions. While many such conflicts have been resolved, the country continues to be confronted with conflicts emanating from the allodial rights to some chieftaincy skins and stools, culminating in some fierce disagreements between feuding factions. Issues of land ownership also featured prominently, many of which could have led to the fatalities, but for the urgent intervention of the relevant state agencies, security agencies. While kinetic approaches were employed to deal with the conflicts in some instances, the government of Ghana, through some eminent personalities and agencies, engaged factions involved in various disputes to effectively appreciate the causes and triggers of the conflicts and address them accordingly. The government also resourced its security and intelligence agencies to enhance its intelligence gathering and investigative capacities to preempt security breaches. There have also been enhanced efforts by security agencies to intercept arms and ammunition that are used in conflict-prone areas. Mr. Speaker, the threat of terrorism and violent extremism. The threat of terrorism continues to be an issue of grave concern for the West African sub-region. The deteriorating security situation in neighboring countries owing to a surge in terrorist attacks remain a concern for Ghana. Against this background, the government continues to prioritize security to safeguard the territorial integrity of the country. Intelligence gathering with neighboring countries has also been enhanced to avert the possible infiltration of terrorist elements into Ghana. Cognizance of the pull and push factors of terrorism and violent extremism, the government of Ghana continues to embark on projects in communities that are vulnerable to terrorism radicalization. These include the provision of basic amenities such as water, the construction of access roads, and the provision of vocational training to the youth. Such measures are aimed at engaging the youth who could otherwise be easy targets for extremist groups in useful ventures. It is worth adding that a major security threat confronting Ghana is the growing involvement of foreigners, most of whom are suspected of having ties with terrorists and extremist elements operating in neighboring countries. These foreigners are mostly involved in illegal mining activities, particularly in border communities, to raise funds to support the activities of the extremist group. The government, through the Ghana Armed Forces and the Ministry of Lands and Natural Resources, continues to adopt measures to address the menace. Mr. Speaker, political and socio-economic development. The year 2023 has been eventful on the political front, even that the country will head to the polls in the coming year. The Electoral Commission in Ghana and the major political parties have been preparing for the 2024 parliamentary and presidential elections. The Electoral Commission between 12 September 2023 and 2nd October 2023 conducted a nationwide registration of persons who had attained the voting age of 18 years and above. In Ghana, reports submitted in May 2023, it was highlighted that political parties had prepared a roadmap towards electing parliamentary and presidential candidates ahead of Ghana's 2024 general elections. Accordingly, the National Democratic Congress and the New Patriotic Party have successfully elected their flag bearers for the 2024 elections. While the National Democratic Party has successfully elected its parliamentary candidates, the New Patriotic Party has scheduled February 2024 to elect the party's parliamentary candidates for the 2024 elections. Other political parties are expected to elect their presidential candidates with the first quarter of 2024. Ghana's post-COVID-19 economic recovery has been relatively slow, with the extended socio-economic impact on the citizenry. The public has been expressing their displeasure concerning the state of the economy through protests of different forms within their constitutional rights. The government, however, continues to implement measures to research the economic plight of Ghanaians. The effective collaboration among all state security and intelligence agencies through coordination of their activities by the Ministry of National Security has contributed a great deal to Ghana's success in mitigating both internal and external threats. Ghana's political and security environment is generally peaceful, and the government of Ghana is committing to leveraging on this to promote a conducive democratic atmosphere for the people. Mr. Speaker, human rights situation. Ghana is a signatory to many international and regional human rights treaties, conventions, and protocols. The state also has adequate provision in the 1992 Constitution for the protection of human rights and freedoms. Treaties such as the Convention on the Rights of the Child have been incorporated into the domestic laws of Ghana. More importantly, Chapter 5 of the 1992 Constitution of Ghana provides for the promotion and protection of the fundamental human rights and freedoms of persons in the country. Chapter 18 of the 1992 Constitution also provides for the establishment of the Commission on Human Rights and Administrative Justice, (CHIRAJ), to investigate complaints of violations or abuse of rights of persons in Ghana. Generally, there has been peace and respect for human rights in Ghana during the year. This notwithstanding, some isolated human rights issues, such as violations of freedom of the media, military brutalities on civilians, discrimination and violence against women, harsh prison conditions, and child abuse occurred in the country. Mr. Speaker, Investigation of Human Rights Cases, 2023. The Shuraj, in pursuance of its mandate of promoting and protecting universal human rights and other freedoms relating to civil, political, economic, social, and cultural rights, received and investigated a number of human rights cases during the course of the year. By mid-year 2023, the Commission had received 5,960 human rights cases, out of which 5,333 cases have been resolved, with 627 cases pending. Mr. Speaker, inhuman prison conditions. Overcrowding and the deplorable conditions in Ghana's prisons continue to be a major human rights concern. The overcrowding situation often leads to the spread of communicable diseases, infections, and contamination. The inmate population as of October 2023 stood at 15,212, as against the authorized prison population of 10,262. The overcrowding percentage rate as at the fourth quarter of 2023 stood at 48.20%, representing a marginal increase of 0.47% of the overcrowding of 47.73% in the first quarter of 2023. Medium security prisons were reported to have much higher overcrowding rates than lower security prisons, Mr. Speaker. To help address the overcrowding situation, a policy intervention, the Justice for All Program, GFAP, was instituted by the Ministry of Justice and Attorney General's Department in partnership with other stakeholders, which as the POS Foundation in 2007, such as the POS Foundation in 2007. The objective was to alleviate prison overcrowding through the setting up of mobile and in-prison special courts that operate throughout the country to adjudicate pre-trial cases to help promote access to justice and the speedy trial of cases of remand prisoners. This intervention is supported by the pro bono lawyers providing legal representation for remand prisoners. It is worthy of mention that the GFAP has contributed to the reduction of the remand prison population from 33% in 2007 to 9.8% of July 2023. On its part, Shuraj has been collaborating with the POS Foundation and other stakeholders to advocate for the passage of a non-custodial sentencing bill, Mr. Speaker, community service bill, which will provide alternative sentencing other than a prison term for persons who commit minor or petty offenses. The final draft of the community service bill has been reviewed and validated by the stakeholders for onward transmission to Cabinet for approval, albeit the process is slow. Shiraj, in collaboration with the Commonwealth Human Rights Initiative and the Open Society Initiative for West Africa, has also been advocating for the discriminalization of minor petty offenses bill for a review and amendment of the Criminal Offences Act by Parliament. Mr. Speaker, discrimination and violence against women and girls' rights. Mr. Speaker, women and girls face varying forms of discrimination, abuse, or violence in Ghana. These include violence against alleged witches, child, early and forced marriages, intimate partner violence, female genital mutilation, domestic abuse and rape. Some deep-rooted cultural beliefs and socio-cultural norms on the roles of women could be attributed to such treatment. The persistent abuse and violence against alleged witches in the northern regions of Ghana is a matter of serious concern. While some elderly women are able to seek refuge in witches' camps, others are physically and verbally abused and even killed. In July 2023, the Parliament of Ghana passed a private members' bill to amend the Criminal and Other Offences Act 1960, Act 29. The bill prescribes the declaration, accusation, naming, or labeling of another person as a witch, and also prohibits the practice of witch doctors and witch finders. The President is yet to assent to the bill. Mr. Speaker, right through the Access of Justice project has been working to ensure that women accused of witchcraft and who suffer various forms of violence have access to justice. Through the project, Shiraj has conducted a baseline study, organized sensitization and capacity building training workshops, as well as health and psychological screening exercises for the residents and nearby towns of the 4 alleged witch camps, Gambaga, Gani, Kukuo, and Kwatinga in the northern and northeast regions. Mr. Speaker, freedom of expression or press freedom. The World Press Freedom Index released by Reporters Without Borders for 2023 ranked Ghana 62nd out of the total of 180 countries as against 60th in 2022 according to the index's scheme. Ghana's ranking places its freedom of press in the category of problematic. Mr. Speaker, Chapter 12 of the 1992 Constitution of the Republic of Ghana guarantees the freedom and independence of the media. It is worth mentioning that Ghana has witnessed some incidents relating to attacks on journalists, with the investigation of some cases pending. A 2023 study of the University of Ghana and the Media Foundation for West Africa reported that the military and the police are considered the main culprits of attacks on journalists. Other perpetrators of such attacks are political party affiliates. A case in point is the May 3, 2023 attack on a Dagwan radio host by a former regional deputy communications officer of a political party. Another incident which occurred on October 7, 2023 was a mob attack on the host and guest of an entertainment show on the Accra-based United Television during their live show by persons affiliated to a political party. These attacks undermine the democratic credentials of Ghana. There is the need for journalists to be protected in their line of duty, while offenders made to face the full rigors of the law. Mr. Speaker, military brutalities. Reports of military excesses, including violations of the human rights of citizens, have been recorded in some instances. The most recent incident occurred in Garu and Tempane in the Upper East region on October 24, where the military is alleged to have assaulted residents, leading to over 150 hospitalizations with various degrees of injury and one death. In response to the allegations, the National Security Ministry explained that what took place was an operation to seize weapons used by a vigilante group in Garu to attack some national security operatives. Earlier in March, the military was deployed to Ashaman Taifa in the Greater Accra region to find the assailants of a young soldier trooper, Imoro Sharif. In the process, the military men allegedly broke into homes, brutalized residents, and detained about 184 people. This resulted in widespread condemnation by the public, including the Shiraj Commissioner. Mr. Speaker, business and human rights. Mr. Speaker, Ghana faces varying environmental health and safety challenges due to the conduct of business and operations and corporations. Some of these challenges include improper land reclamation in the mining industry, inappropriate disposal of plastic bottles and bags, the burning of used lorry ties to extract copper wire for sale, and the dismantling and burning of electronic gadgets to extract valuable metals for sale, especially at Agogloshi, one of the world's largest waste dump sites. The mining industry, both legal and illegal, has contributed hugely to the destruction of vast acres of arable land and the chemical pollution of most water bodies in the country. Other human rights violations associated with the conduct of businesses in the country include forcible eviction of relocation of communities, child labor, particularly the hazardous forms, and forced labor. To ensure human rights compliance in the business operations in the country, the government of Ghana ratified the UN Guiding Principles on Business and Human Rights. Also in 2014, Ghana was one of the 8 African Union member states to have voted in favor of the establishment of the open-ended intergovernmental working group on transnational corporations and other business enterprises with respect to human rights. Mr. Speaker, in 2022, Shirai conducted a national baseline assessment on business and human rights in Ghana. The purpose of the baseline was to evaluate the government of Ghana's progress in achieving its obligations to respect, protect, and fulfill human rights and fundamental freedoms, the compliance level of businesses in respecting applicable laws and upholding human rights in the performance of their functions, and the existence of appropriate and effective judicial and non-judicial remedies accessible to victims whose human rights are breached. Mr. Speaker, the ultimate aim is to facilitate the development of a National Action Plan, NAP, on business and human rights. Since the launch of the baseline study report in 2022, Shiraj and Minister of Justice and Office of the Attorney General's Department have been co-chairing a National Steering Committee for the development of a NAP or BHR. A series of public stakeholder consultations have been held across all 16 regions in the country in this regard. Mr. Speaker, discriminalizing death penalty in Ghana. Mr. Speaker, in July 2023, the Parliament of Ghana passed the Criminal Offences Amendment Act 2022 to replace the death penalty with life sentence and provide for related matters. In a related matter, Parliament also passed the Armed Forces Amendment Act to substitute the death penalty with life imprisonment. While commending the abolition of the death penalty from the 2 statutes, it is still a matter of concern that the death penalty remains in the Constitution of the Republic of Ghana. Thus, an amendment of the Constitution is very critical to give full effect to completely discriminalizing the death penalty in Ghana. Mr. Speaker, I'm now on the last page, and that is page 9, child abuse. Although the laws of Ghana prohibit all forms of abuse against children, there have been incidents of child abuse in the country. Child early enforced marriages is a major challenge in the protection of the rights of children in Ghana. Ghana has a child protection, a CEFM national prevalence rate of 21%, despite the 18 years minimum legal age of marriage. To this end, government has instituted some measures to protect the rights of children. The Child Marriage Unit of the Domestic Violence Secretariat of the Ministry of Gender, Children and Social Protection launched the first national strategic framework on ending child marriage in Ghana, 2017 to 26. Also, in December 2020, the Parliament of Ghana passed the Cyber Security Act 2020, Act 1038, to strengthen Ghana's response to online child sexual exploitation and abuse. A policy brief published by the ECOWAS Commission in August 2023 showed an increase in online child sexual exploitation and abuse in Ghana, a development which requires urgent attention. Mr. Speaker, health situation. The report on the health situation in Ghana covers the period from 2019 to June 2023 and is structured on the 3 policy objectives of the 4-year health senior sector medium-term development plan 2022-2023, which aims to speed up progress towards attainment of universal health coverage. SDG targets 381 and 382 by 2030. Mr. Speaker, policy objective 1, universal access to a better efficiency, managed high quality primary health system. OPD utilization of per capita. Outpatients visit decreased from 34.8 million in 2021 to 33.4 million in 2022. That is 4% decrease, as shown in figure 1. Consequently, the outpatient department per capita decreased from 1.13 to 1.06 over the same period. Between January and June 2023, 2.9 million outpatients were recorded, which translates to approximately 1 visit per person per year. Mr. Speaker, as agreed, we already have the report with us, and on page 10, we have a graph. We have National Health Insurance Scheme and population coverage. We can look at that. Then page 11, we have National Health Insurance Authority, and then Human Resource Development for Health. We have the graphs there. Mr. Speaker, on page 12, we have doctor to population ratio, and we have nurse to population ratio. Mr. Speaker, page 13, we have objective 2, reduce avoidable maternal, adolescent, and child deaths and disabilities. So we have maternal health care service as the broad headline. Mr. Speaker, page 14, we have institutional maternal mortality and ratio. Mr. Speaker, I am still on page 14 and counting. So I would take us straight to page 19. No, page 20, please, sorry. To page 20, where we have protocol relating to the community levy. As of October 2023, Ghana had honored its financial commitments to the ECOWAS Commission as specified below, and you would see that our last payment was in October. So, Mr. Speaker, I'm happy to note this, and I'm grateful that this has taken place because we cannot work without money. To go to the conclusion, Mr. Speaker, the conclusion is on page 35. The government recognizes that the continued peace and security of Ghana will be meaningless so far as the sub-region is plagued with political instability. Ghana, therefore, remains committed towards contributing to the overall stability and peace of the sub-region. Thank you. Merci beaucoup. Obrigado.
Thank you, Honorable Ayamba. Dr. Kabir, can you put off the mics? I thank the 4 delegations which have just presented their reports. The debate is now open. MPs who wish to intervene are invited to register on the intervention list. Excellence. Can we start? Give me the first few names, please. Honorable Dawood.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Sorry. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I want to commend the presenters for a job well done. Just on a comment/question for the last speaker, that is the representative, the MP from Ghana. Just out of curiosity, because you talked a lot about human rights and discrimination, I'm curious I would like to know whether in Ghana, do you have a Disability Act that addresses the rights of persons with disability? I would also like to know that it seems talking about all the other rights and that's not mentioned. Seems to me that the current thing now is to talk about inclusion. When we're talking about children's rights, we talk about women inclusion. I think we should also talk about inclusion of persons with disability. Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you very much, Honorable Dawood. Honorable Dabo.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. I want to thank the various presenters for the explicit reports that they've presented. And doing so, let me commend Liberia and Sierra Leone for conducting free, fair, and transparent, likewise peaceful elections, even though there were some hints here and there. Generally, the election observers describe the elections free, fair, and transparent. In that vein, we want to commend them, and then the election observers in general. Describing Liberia as the beacon of democracy in Africa is a hope for our democracy and a lesson that we should all learn in order to make our democracy a democracy that we can be proud of. Honorable Speaker, I noted in the report of the Liberia, the society as sharply divided as described by the ECOWAS election observation, and that it required urgent steps to foster social cohesion and inclusivity in the governance. Of course, if you look at the table that describes the representation in both the lower house and then the upper houses, clearly manifested the division in the governance, where the CDC George Weah party scored a 34.2% of the seats in the lower house, and that of the opposition UP scored 15% in the seat in lower house. And then at the upper house, George Weah 40% and the independent 40%. In the lower house, the independent 26%. That described the division in that particular governance. If not as advised by ECOWAS is not done, it will not help the democracy that we describe as the beacon. To Sierra Leone, I believe Liberia failed to get the promised women representation, or that has been reduced. But this was realized in Sierra Leone. The model that Sierra Leone employs, I think all ECOWAS countries need to learn from Sierra Leone. We are struggling to increase the women representation based on our respective models, even my own country, but it's failing. But Sierra Leone made an amendment that increased the number drastically. It's a lesson that we should all learn. I hope Liberia, Gambia, the Sierra Leone model, we need to learn from them and amend our laws to increase the women representation. I thank you.
Thank you very much. I was actually just saying the same thing to the Honorable First Deputy Speaker, that if only Nigeria can follow the footsteps, we will have a good number of female parliamentarians in this ECOWAS parliament. But Honorable Gabriela. Micro.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. I would also like to add my voice to previous speakers to congratulate all those who have submitted reports and congratulate them for their presentations. Honorable Speaker, it is difficult for me, but I would like to congratulate the delegation of Sierra Leone, and in particular the President of the Republic and the Speaker and our colleague Veronica. I think that we have submitted a request regarding the increase of the number of women in Parliament, and she has talked about the efforts that are being made in Sierra Leone to comply with that requirement. And I think that with her we are going to congratulate her on behalf of the head of our delegation, who is unfortunately sick, because she would have made this statement herself, and we would like to encourage her to continue, and we need to follow her example. And next time it will be for Guinea-Bissau to do the same lobby and to come up with the same statement so that we can reach that objective.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker, for giving me the floor. Honorable Speaker, I want to equally join my colleagues in congratulating and thanking the 4 country presenters of their report. Honorable Speaker, if you look at our countries, youths constitute 60 to 65% of our population. And what that tells us that you have a youthful population. And governments need to heed attention or pay attention to this growing number of population. If care is not taken, the youthful population could be transformed to productive use to catapult our countries, to develop countries. But if care is not taken, the population in our youthful population will become danger to society. Now, if you go to page 6 of the Liberian country report,
They arrested the coup
it says,
yesterday.
despite
In Freetown.
the passage of new drug law,
They are-
the proliferation and use of drugs by mostly the younger population has been in increase. And the drugs used among youths become pertinent issues during political campaigns against government by opposition. Honorable Speaker, this is very important. I think government really need to pay attention to the issue of drugs. Our youths are really wasting their youthful age in the abuse of drugs. And I don't think it's enough for us to just make legislation, but government also need to engage the youths, creating an opportunity for them to engage. Because if they are left idle, if they are left unattended to, they become customers of the devil workshop. And that is what is happening in our countries. So it is high time for government to pay attention to the youthful population so that they will not be part and parcel of devil workshop in their various country. And that takes me to the country report of Sierra Leone, page 5. Under their health situation, 4.2, they said it's evident that the mental health issues are becoming a serious problem in Sierra Leone. The country has had its fair share of the various serious crises from the 11 years of war. So what this tells us is the mental health issues are becoming a bigger challenge, and this is attributed to the youthful population. And I want to ask the delegation whether the government is taking any step, either be it legislations or being it otherwise, any instrument to make sure that there's a decrease in the mental health. Because some of these mental health are attributes to drug abuses. And that is why I said that countries of West Africa really need to pay attention to their youth population to create an enabling environment for them to flourish. If not, they venture into this abuse of drugs, and that will endanger society. And they make the country very much ungovernable. Because if you don't take care of them, they will rebel against the very system that failed to take care of them. Thank you very much.
Exactly, that's very true. Thank you very much, Honorable Tonkara. Senator Olujimi.
Is that? Oh, thank you very much. Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. Let me first thank all the presenters of the country reports.
Speak through the mic. The mic. Come closer to the mic.
I think something is wrong. Thank you very much. Mr. Speaker, let me first congratulate all those who delivered their country reports, and also thank members who spoke before me. Let me quickly speak about the elections in Liberia, because the Parliament graciously appointed some of us to be observers during the election. We're very grateful for the confidence reposed in us. Mr. Speaker, at first, 10 of us observed during the original elections, and 5 when we had to go for the rerun. We discharged our duties accordingly and attended all necessary meetings and deployments as determined by the head of the ECOWAS delegation, Professor Atahiru Jega. It was a worthwhile observation as it opened our eyes to the deficiencies and the strength of democracy in the West African sub-region. Liberia is a veritable lesson in democracy, as we observed. They are also a lesson for Africa. The lack of will of the youth to engage in violence, the zeal of women voters, and the commitment of our youths to the electoral process is a very great sign that was observed during the Liberia elections, even though eventually there was a bit of violence. The unusual but highly commendable will of the ruling government to also give up, even when tallies had not been done, is also commendable. And this, I believe, is probably due to the fact that the current president, President George Weah, is a product of this parliament. And of course, the parliament must take kudos for what happened in Liberia. We should be proud of him, and we should also be able, ECOWAS should be able to use him as a focal point for elections in the West African sub-region, especially in Nigeria, where there is a lot of resistance in this kind of situation. Two issues came to light. One has to do with women. Only 2 women went through the electoral process in a country where there is law saying there should be equity. It shows up for all of us in the sub-region, and there is a need for the parliament to take great cognizance of this and be able to come up with solutions to how women can be involved in the electoral process and be voted for. Also, the issue of the very narrow win in the election, which brings to the fore what others had said earlier, that there is need for reconciliation and, of course, great acceptance of the fact that the 2 parties in contention were in almost equal acceptance, and the ECOWAS must be at the forefront of ensuring that there is inclusion for all concerned. In all of it, we have given our report to the Speaker, and we believe that our conclusion should be properly taken cognizance of, and reconciliation starts immediately in Liberia so that everybody can have a sense of belonging, and we can avoid any other upheavals in Liberia. I cannot but appreciate the commitment of Honorable Snow to all of us that attended the observation. He made sure that life was comfortable for all of us, and he was always at our beck and call, even though the other senators were busy on the field because they were all contesting, and he was the only one that was not contesting. In all, it was a lesson for Africa. We need to learn from Liberia. We need to know that elections take place regularly, and if you are beaten, you hand over peacefully and hope for better luck next time. Once again, we thank you for asking us to observe, and we thank Liberia, and we salute the courage of President George Weah. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Honorable Senator Olujibi. Honorable members, before I proceed, just on a sad note, a colleague of ours, Honorable Umar Abdullahi Kamba, seated over there, just lost his father. On behalf of this parliament, I want to extend our condolences to you, and may his soul rest in perfect peace. Amen. Honorable Amy.
Merci bien, Monsieur le Président.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. I'd like to, first of all, speak after you because I'm the one speaking just after you are done, and to extend our condolences. With respect to the presentations, a lot of things have been said. First of all, we congratulate the presenters. It's not easy, but they did a very good work. I would like to draw our attention to a number of things. We appear to be self-independent about so many things, and I'll cite the example of the Liberia. The last time we congratulated President Macky Sall for his a great gesture, and now we are also opportune to congratulate President George Weah because of this laudable feat. And let's not forget that this is someone who has a culture of fair play. He having won the Ballon d'Or, and then he has that culture as well as a very pleasant values. And it is an opportunity for us to encourage the other presidents to follow suit. And so we congratulate him and we encourage him, but we still have a long way to go because there were deaths, and this is something that we need to also look at. And so all the same, it was a very beautiful situation, and we need to make sure that there are zero deaths during elections. Especially when we look at the fact that there are still some sums to be paid. All the same, we need to congratulate him because it's not an easy thing. It's not an easy decision that he took. So we need to encourage him to build on what he has done. And so the same thing applies to Sierra Leone. If we look at the figure, about 90-something to 41 women, that is baby steps, but they still deserve congratulations. And we need to applaud this feat, and I'm sure they will work towards getting to parity with the men. So let's encourage them. In this case, let's encourage them, not congratulate them, because if you congratulate them, it's as if you are satisfied, but we know that they can do better. I have some concerns. I saw in the social media this morning that there were yet another 43 arrests in Sierra Leone, apart from the ones that happened over the weekend. There were demonstrations, and then the Minister of Information also talked about those who died, security officials, a woman, 3 assailants, a policeman. That means that there is a problem.
Je suis désolé.
I'm sorry, Mr. Speaker. I know that it is your country, and you have really suffered, but all the same, you still have to allow me to talk.
Yes, as a mark of respect for our colleague who has just lost his father, I want to bring this debate to an end. Let me just repeat. as a mark of respect for the sad news that I just gave this honorable house, I want to bring this debate to an end and for us to adopt the reports. If that is okay with you, then we can just adopt the report.
Je suis frustré de constater que vous m'avez donné.
I'm frustrated to observe that despite giving me the floor, you seized it. You didn't allow me to finish, but you are the one that gave me the floor.
Honorable members, you want to continue the debate? Because I will suggest, as a mark of respect for our colleague,
yes,
please.
In that sense, actually, we were asking for a minute of silence.
Yes, we'll do that. Once we agree, then we will come to the minute of silence. But let us adopt this report now, please, honorable members. If it is okay, is it adopted? Adopted. Can we please rise for a minute prayer for our father who just passed? Amen. Amen. May his soul rest in perfect peace. Honorable members, there are items on the agenda. Our plenary sitting today are exhausted. Plenary sitting will continue tomorrow, Wednesday, 6 December 2023, with country reports from Guinea-Bissau and Niger. Sitting adjourned.
C'est bon.